everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Kathy at Attic Treasures, etc. And today I'm going to take you through as I embellish this and work on this journal cover a little bit more. If you want to see how I made it this far, you can take a look at the video that I did for how to use a masterboard to embellish a journal cover. So I made it out of a director's chair cover, my masterboard, put some embellishments on it, and used a placemat on the inside. And as you can see, if you watch the last video, you'll see that I added this piece here and these two little pieces as well. And these are all buttons that I found at Joann in the button section, I believe, or maybe they were Hildy and Joe. I can't remember, but you can see that they have this little shank on it. So what I'm going to do on the back here, I'm going to duplicate what I did here, is I'm going to poke a hole. Now it won't go all the way through because this is pretty thick, but it'll go through far enough to where I can apply some glue in there and then glue it on the rest of the way. But before I get that far, I also want to put some lace on the inside. And I have this lace and it looks like it was a valance because it's got this, this channel here at the top. So I'm not going to use that part. I'm just going to use the bottom part. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this part off right here and take it out of the way. The nice thing about having something like this that has a channel on the top is that you get two pieces of lace, because you can cut this part off, which is exactly what I'm going to do. Okay, so once you get that part cut off from the top, then you've got this whole nice other piece of lace that you can use on another project. So one of the things that I like about this lace also, and the reason I chose it, is because you can see through it to the pattern underneath. And I didn't want to totally obscure the pattern because I think it's really pretty, but I also think it's a little bit too light for this fabric. So I'm going to play with it a little bit by spray staining it. And I'm going to use probably the rest of my Distress Spray Stain in Wild Honey. Maybe another little spray. I just ordered some more of this color because it's absolutely one of my favorite colors to use in journals, just because it's so, it looks like it's been laying around with a bunch of rusty nails. I never thought I'd hear myself say something like that. Oh, I really like that. It looks like it's been laying around with a bunch of rusty nails. What has junk journaling done to me? Okay, but I like it. Now I'm going to set this aside to dry. So what I want to do is try to get this exactly opposite the other one. Okay, so I'm just taking a chalk pencil, putting a little mark just so I can see right there. You can kind of suspend that a little bit. And then take my awl. Can you guys see what I'm doing? Okay, so I'm taking my awl and I'm just going to go through part way. Because as you can see, this little loop, maybe it's easier to see there. This little loop that's like where you would sew through to the fabric, it's not very deep, or it's not very long. Where'd my hole go? Okay, needs to go a little bit bigger. And I don't want to go through the lining, but I do want to get it so that this will fit in there flush. Okay, I think that'll work. And the glue that I'm going to use is this Aleene's Super Fabric Adhesive. Put some glue on there. And a little bit on the little leaves or whatever you want to call them. Okay, and then just firmly press it in. Okay, so that'll form the closure. There will be a chain attaching it on both sides. Well, it'll be a chain attached on one side, and then it'll hook into this one on this side. So I've added these corner pieces on the front, and we'll put these on the back as well. So these are, I think I got them online. They might be Tim Holtz, I don't know, I can't remember. All right, so I chose this kind of coppery color to go with the closure. And there's another little piece right here. It's the same one that I'm using for the closure. So I've got some sort of brass looking pieces and some of the copper, and I'm totally okay with that. In fact, I like it. I think it adds more interest when you kind of mix it up a little bit. Okay, so to add these now, I'm going to use this again. And this cover is pretty thick, but so I don't think that I'm going to need to squish these around. I'm just going to glue them on, because I tried that with one of them where I kind of squished it around, and I just kind of wasted one of the corners. Okay, so I'm going to leave that for now and just let it start to dry. And then okay, so the next thing I want to do on the cover on the front is I really like, here it is, this little piece to go right there. And I can't remember where this came from either. But I know I got it at Joann's or Michael's or something like that. Let me scooch you a little bit more so you can see what I'm doing. And this is kind of an antique silvery looking color. I'm going to touch it up with the Gilder's Paste Wax. Can you see what I'm doing? Can you see how that just really changes the color? It has this beautiful, rich tone. And you can still see all the dark silvery color and all the crevices and stuff. But I really like the way this turns out. Getting all the high spots. Okay, I'm happy with the way that looks. There, doesn't it just look so pretty right there? Okay, so we'll go back to using this Aleene's Fabric Adhesive. There, I really like that. All right, my lace is dry. So I'm going to put that on the inside and see now. That just really made it look so much better. You can clearly see the pattern underneath. It's not clashing. So I'm going to use Fabri-Tac to attach this. I'm going to turn it around so I can get to it a little bit easier. Move some of my toys out of the way. Oh, I mean tools. Did I say toys? Hope my husband wasn't listening. They're tools. They aren't toys. Shh, don't tell. I'm just teasing. My husband is so supportive. Every time we go to the craft store, he's right there with me, helping me find stuff. Helping me find stuff I didn't even know I was looking for sometimes. He's really a lot of fun to go to the craft store with, or junk store, or antique store, or anything. All right, the next step is to put some sari silk here at the top and kind of finish that part off. I'm going to start in the middle. And in this section, because this is where the signatures are going, I want it to be pretty flat. So I'm going to spread it out a little bit. First time I heard of people talking about sari silk, I'm like, what is that? And why are people sorry about it? I had no idea. But then I found out that it is made from saris that women wear. We live in Western Washington, and we have a tulip festival every year in the area, and the colors are just super, super, super bright and just beautiful out in the fields. And one year, this is several years ago now, one year these beautiful women dressed in these gorgeous saris were standing out in the middle of the field. And they looked like flowers themselves. They were so pretty. So I like bunching up the sari silk when I'm doing this kind of thing, because I think it looks pretty. I kind of smush it. Okay, so I'm going to let that contemplate its existence for a little bit, because now I have another project part that I want to do with this, and that involves putting on this book plate. But before I put the book plate on, I want to stamp journal on a piece of paper underneath it. But not just any paper. I want it to be pretty paper, and I want it to kind of go with the theme of the journal. I'm getting a stray glue string out of there. Okay, so I'm going to let this sit over here and dry for a minute. Move my husband's t-shirt out of the way. Don't worry, he's not missing it. Okay, so for this process, I'm going to take a piece of paper, and it's actually some 126-year-old paper off of some book page that I included in my journal kits, because the margins were so wide and it's fragile, and some of them were kind of falling apart, that I just thought it would be they would ship easier and stay more intact if I took those off. So that's what I did, but now I'm going to use them. So I'm going to use some distress ink, and I'm going to use wild honey ink, some rusty hinge, oxide, and then these 4 colors. Can you see them? There we go. Okay, I guess you can. So fired brick, mowed lawn, evergreen bough, and peacock feathers, because peacock feathers, I just love them. Okay, so here's the mat over here, and I'm just laying down the color. Like so. And I'm going to take a little bit of water. And then I'm just going to lay it on there. Now this came out in exactly a square. So I'm going to move those around a little bit, and I can spray that a little more. Okay, so right now it's a mess. I'm going to dry it and we're going to add more color. All right, that's dry. So I'm going to add a little bit more of the fired brick. And I'm just going to work in this section down here because I don't really need a very big section for what I want to do with this. In fact, I don't need a very big section at all, but it's just easier to work with a bigger piece of paper. Okay, I'm going to dry this, and that's the thing with this technique. There does end up being quite a bit of drying time, but the result is so worth it. Let me add a little bit of this green. Okay, that one spot, it's still a little bit wet. Just encourage it a little bit. And then I'm going to add a little bit more green. And what it does, by adding these on in layers like this, is the colors sit on top of each other, making a really unique background. And I just love having fun backgrounds. Okay, all right, I'm going to dry this and I'm going to call that good. Okay, so now I'm just going to find a spot on here that I like, and I think actually I will go ahead and vintage this up just a little bit, just to give it a little bit more color in there. Use the vintage photo. So now I have the book plate centered on the where I want it on the paper. And now I have these little snap together stamps. They're called connectables or something like that, and I'll link that in the description below. And I'm going to stamp the word journal on there in this black archival ink. Beautiful. Beautiful, I love that. And now I'm going to take my X-Acto knife, which I should have had ready, but I didn't. That's really pretty, isn't it? Okay, I love that. All right. I love it when things turn out the way I want them to. So the next step is and the final step for today is to put that on the journal. Usually I like to put the book plate on the front of the journal, but as you can see, there's not a lot of room there for that. So I'm going to put it down here. Okay, I really like those colors on there. So what I'm going to do is glue this down, and then I'll glue the book plate on top of it. So because I'm doing it on fabric, I'm going to use Fabri-Tac and hope it doesn't hurt the paper since the paper's so old. A friend of mine, her stepdad passed away, and there were a whole bunch of old books in his house, and some of them were very old, like the one that this came from, The History of Music, I think is what it's called. It's a very, very big book, but it's from 1895. And my friend knew what I did, that I like to make these journals, and she very, very kindly gifted it to me, and I'm so grateful. Okay, so we're going to go back to using the Aleene's glue. Okay, I really like the way this is turning out. So now we have these little corners to deal with, and I think I'm just gonna have them sort of hang down like so. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of let them finish off the lace, since that's kind of what they look like they want to do anyway. Okay, I think that is all for today. So what did we do? We put this back closure on and these corners, and colored this piece here and put that on there. And inside we added the lace, spray stained it, and put the sari silk on there, and then added the book plate. So I think that's enough for today, and in my next video we'll start working on the signature covers. So I hope you enjoyed this and got some value out of it, maybe some inspiration. And if you did like it, please hit the like button and the notification bell. And if you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing. I'd love to have you. And leave me a comment too if you feel like it. I read all my comments and answer all of them. And I had a great time, so I hope you did too. And so we'll see you in my next video. And remember, always let the serendipity find you. Bye, everybody.